This is the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast, a show to help independent UK-based HR consultants get a pipeline of perfect fit, high-paying clients without expensive adverts, time-consuming social media activities, or energy-sapping and monotonous networking meetings. I'm your host, Nick Paninsky, author of How to Land Your Dream Client, a book which explains everything you need to know to get every sale and client you ever want. And if that sounds interesting, then make sure to grab your copy from the influential consultant website today. That being said, let's get into today's show. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants with me, Nick Paninsky. Today's episode is all about pricing your HR services. So working out how much to charge and how to work out what to charge. I'm also going to share some sneaky but totally ethical tactics you can use to charge more, feel more confident quoting your fees, and you can finally get paid what you're worth. So if you've ever found yourself nervously second-guessing your prices, wondering how others seem to command higher fees without pushback, this one's for you. But let me quickly say that if you are worried about pricing, more than likely, the reason that you're worried about pricing is that you don't have enough leads in your business. Simple reason, because if you had all the leads that you wanted, then you wouldn't be worried about what to charge. You would just charge whatever the hell you wanted to charge. And then if they paid it or they didn't pay it, wouldn't matter because you just move on to the next lead. So yes, if you are worried about leads, because that's why you're worried about what to charge for your pricing, then pay attention to the end of today's episode because I've got something coming down the line that's going to change the world for you. But first, let's talk about anchoring. This is a secret tactic, a hidden, sneaky tactic, totally ethical, that helps you charge higher fees while still charging the high fees, but having your recipient, your lead, your prospect, feel like they're getting a bargain. So anchoring is something that you've probably seen on the high street a million times before and never really thought about. More than likely, all you think about when you see the anchoring is, oh my God, I'm getting a bargain. So, for example, TK and Maxx use this to great effect. What they do is you look at a coat, you look at a t-shirt, you look at a shirt, whatever it is that you're looking at, and you have one price, which is the retail recommended price, and it says something like £400, and then it has our price, and it says £50. Now, what happens there is your brain latches onto that £400, then looks at the £50 and says, oh my God, I'm getting a bargain. Because your brain has seen that 400, now it's looking at 50. If the t-shirt was simply presented at 50 English pounds, you'd probably say, oh my God, £50, that's a lot of money. But what your brain has been doing is been tricked, it's thinking about the £400, then it equates the £50 to be a bargain. It starts thinking about the £350 it can save rather than the £50 it's going to spend. So how can you use that for your HR services? Well, obviously, when you are putting your prices publicly, when you are sharing your prices on your website or your LinkedIn or wherever it is, introduce a high price and, put a line through it and say, oh, it's not this price, it's this price. Or you can put something along the lines of today's price or sale. Whatever it is, however it is that you want to justify it, the sheer fact that you will have had a higher number and now a lower number makes that lower number seem more affordable. Alternatively, if you're sharing your prices verbally, for example, you are taking somebody through a sales call, you're presenting the solution to them, then you're about to share the cost, the investment required to get your services, to get the solution that they're looking for. Very simply, you say something along the lines of, yeah, listen, we're expensive. We're super expensive. We don't cost £20,000, but for the service that you need, the service that I recommend, it is £1,997.97, whatever it is. Again, what's happened there is because of the anchoring, the prospect, the lead, the client, whatever it is, they heard the first fee first, 20k, and then after that, 2k sounds a lot cheaper. Do you see how it works? This makes your actual offer feel more affordable in comparison. And this works really well because people make decisions based on perceived value, not absolute cost. So if somebody perceives something as having a high value, but then is presented with a lower cost, it seems like a bargain. The next tip I have for you is to lay out everything that they're getting. So itemize the full service. Don't just say that you are going to resolve their grievance for them or you're doing a training day. Include everything which is included in that service. So you can include the time that's going to be spent, you can include the access to yourself, you can include whatever templates or documents you're going to be creating for them, any resources, any follow-up support, email Q&A, reporting, etc., etc. And then you've got to put some sort of value alongside these things. The more your prospects, the more your lead sees, the more justifiable your fee becomes. It's not just a conversation, it's your IP, it's your thinking, it's your prep, it's your support. So they're not just getting rid of a grievance, and that is obviously what they want to get rid of. They want to get rid of the problem in their organization. But you have to explain to them what that actually means. Most of the time, a client, a prospect, a lead, they won't know what goes into resolving a grievance. So spell it out for them. Give them the full rundown. Lay out everything that they're getting and put a value alongside it. Then you can put a subtotal. Again, going back to anchoring, you can cross that out and then you can put the actual fee that they're going to pay if they want what you're selling. Speaking of sharing the full fee that they are going to invest to get their problem resolved, what you can do is you can offer a discount, say 5-10%, if they pay the full balance in full before the work starts, i.e. they know they're going to make their payment for this problem to go away. Let's say, for example, this grievance to be resolved. They know that it's going to cost them, let's say, for example, £1,000. You can say to them, listen, if you make the payment with me in full today, I'll let you have it for 900. Now, one thing to say is perhaps you want to consider pricing the full job at £900 before you even offer the discount. That way you are getting what you want. But if they don't pay you in full, you are then getting an extra payment. This rewards commitment and secures cash flow for you, which is super important. You can frame it as a win-win too. If you're happy to sort payment in one go, I'll take X amount off. Now, to speak on this a little bit, ideally, you will always be taking full payment up front. I know that's not always possible, so please take this with a pinch of salt, but it's the ideal situation. If the ideal situation is that you're getting paid up front, reason being, if you do the work and then get paid afterwards, like you would if you were still working in corporate, i.e. somebody comes to see you with a problem, you do all the work to resolve that problem, your salary comes at the end of the month, ipso facto, no problem. But it's very different in the self-employment world. We all know that. So if you do all the work and then ask for the payment at the end of it, like would potentially make sense to you, you are leaving yourself open to abuse. You are leaving yourself open to not getting paid. So encourage full payment up front, or at worst, always take a deposit, a minimum of 50% up front. I've heard too many horror stories from HR consultants now where they say that they've done the work and they've not been paid for it. If you don't get paid for your work up front, if you don't take at least 50% deposit up front, if you don't hold back on resolving the situation for them until the full back payment is paid off in full, again, you are leaving yourself open to exploitation and abuse. And as I say, I've heard from too many HR consultants now who've done the work, hope that they get paid for it, and then they get ghosted. And if you do get ghosted, your options are severely limited. You know, you can take the client to a small claims court perhaps, but that takes stress, it takes effort, it's a really painful process. It's not great. Equally, just because they go to a small claims court, even if you win, there's nothing forcing that client to actually make the payment. You know, I think we've all seen it on TV. I'm not an expert. My understanding is, though, that if you want them to actually make the payment, small claims court, no enforcement. So you have to apply for the high court, get a high court writ, send in the sheriffs. Again, a very undesirable situation. So make sure to at least take 50% up front. Don't start either way. Don't start work without some money in the bank. You may want to consider using an escrow for the rest of the balance. This protects your time, your energy, your business. If you don't get paid, your kids don't get fed, your mortgage doesn't get paid. So it is super important. I know this goes against the grain for a lot of HR consultants with how they feel that they should work, especially when they're very new to this. But yeah, let me share this one more time. If you do the work and then submit your invoice at the end of it and hope to get paid, that's exactly what you're doing. You are hoping to get paid. You have no leverage. When it comes to economics, getting somebody to do something for you, you've either got incentive or you've got coercion. Well, my friend, you have got no coercion, no incentive if you delivered the work and they haven't paid. There is nothing you can do to force that payment, to encourage that payment. Please make sure to get paid up front, or at least take 50% up front, and consider using an escrow. Personally, I don't think that asking for 50% up front is anything wrong with that. It's a standard boundary in service-based businesses as far as I can tell. And if a company can't do 50% or 100% for policy reasons, negotiate something meaningful, like an escrow, for example. Remember, you're not on salary anymore, so stop acting like you are on one. Really didn't mean to get so ranty about that. I've just caught myself going off on a little bit of a rant there. So let's move on. Let's talk about using relatable comparisons so your fees seem more affordable. So you can compare the price of your services to something tangible. For example, a holiday, a new phone, daily coffee habits, whatever it is. It makes your service seem a bit more realistic and a bit more affordable. And this helps people emotionally understand the value by linking it to everyday spending. For example, I use this with my book sales page. The book is on sale for $4.63. One of my famous quotes is, "The book is cheaper than a bottle of wine." When you think about a bottle of wine, yeah, it's great, but you use it pretty quickly. You don't get too much return on investment on it. Whereas compared with the book, well, if I do say so myself, the book is fantastic. It's a bargain at £4.63. And that makes the price seem, yes, somewhat more acceptable. It's got a relatable comparison. £4.63. What would you rather have, a bottle of wine or the knowledge in the book to build a 70K HR consultancy? It's a bit of a no-brainer. So let's bring that around to you. What is the price of your service? Let's make it a daily fee. We can use it as the price per day. And what does that actually charge? Or a price per hour? What does that actually mean? Give them something affordable, the lead, the prospect, give them something affordable to grasp in their mind that, oh, it's not as affordable as it seems. It's not as expensive as it might seem. And this price per day, this is what you can also use when it comes to working out what to charge for your services. So you don't need to charge this way. You don't need to share this figure with anybody, but internally calculate your hourly rate, calculate your day rate, and use it as a guide for packages or project pricing. Whatever it is that you want to charge, let's say, for example, you want to charge £100 an hour, and somebody hands over a grievance to you, and you look at it and you see that they're speaking to 20 people, there are 50 odd emails to read through, company policy, blah, 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 etc., etc. Before you know it, you're going to be spending around 6 hours on this. So 6 hours, you can use your price per day, you can half it, you can use your price per hour, you can work out what it would cost to resolve that grievance. That way, then you've got a benchmark, you've got an understanding of what you're going to be charging and that it's worth it for you. This helps you stay grounded in what your time is actually worth. Feel free to even share this day rate when you need to show the value of something or a multi-day project or a retainer, especially if you can show it to them and say that you charge, I don't know, say for example, £100 an hour, say it's £600 a day, something along those lines. You're going to give them a bargain. You're going to say, yeah, but if you pay me in advance, I'll do it for this price. Plus, I'm going to offer you this discount because of X, Y, Z. Now, this isn't to say, let me catch myself here, let me catch you as well. I can hear you shouting at the radio or wherever it is you listen to this podcast. I am not saying offer a hell of a lot of discounts here, there, and everywhere. What I am saying is, though, that you can artificially inflate your prices and then offer discounts. It's a little bit sneaky, but it's totally legit. It's not manipulative in the slightest. It helps your prospects feel like they are getting a bargain. And at the same time, you're getting the price that you want to charge. So this is an easy way for you to do it. Understand what your hourly rate is, your day rate, your weekly rate, whatever it is, and then charge appropriately. Work out how much time you're going to spend on that project. Use that figure. Now, when it comes to actually sharing your pricing figures, there's a couple of tactics that you can tap into. One is to end all prices in the number 7. Reason for this is we love the number 7. If you asked somebody to pick a number between 1 and 10, chances are they'd pick 7. It's a phenomenon we have here in the West. We love the number 7. If you were in China, for example, they'd probably more likely go for the number 8. Either way, it doesn't matter. You can use this to make prices seem more palatable, more friendly, something that we like, something in our brain clicks off. We love the number 7. Alternatively, what you can do is come up with an obscure figure of some form or another. Say, for example, like with my book, which is priced at £4.63. Why £4.63? There's a very specific reason for that. Makes you think, right? So rather than, for your HR services, rather than trotting out £2,000, where's £2,000 come from? Who knows? You could charge your prices at 1973.62, say, for example. And that looks like a very specific price for a very specific reason. People find it difficult to argue with that. People find it difficult to ask for a discount. It looks like there's a real reason why you've come up with that price. That means that it is less likely for someone to ask for a discount. Now, I'm going to do an episode about this in the coming weeks, but one thing that HR consultants really misunderstanding about pricing is the perception of what they should charge. They wonder more about, what do I charge for this? How much can I, effectively what they're saying is, how much can I get away with charging? And the reality is that pricing differs on a whole range of different factors, right? So let's bring this into the real world to give you a real world example, right? The difference is positioning and perceived value, not the actual task list. So let's take, for example, a Rolex and a Casio. Both tell the time, but people pay a hell of a lot more money for a Rolex than they do for a Casio. Same for Primark. It's super easy to decide what to charge for Primark. It's going to be less than £5 because it's crap for a t-shirt, right? Whereas a t-shirt from something like Carhartt, you'd be looking at £30-40. It's still a t-shirt at the end of the day, but because of some sort of emotion, justification, positioning, perceived value, the price has changed. So we're going to talk about that in some coming episodes. We're going to talk about the perceived value and how you can influence that. Because that's a biggie. That is a big factor on how much you can charge for your services, or aka how much you can get away with. And that's it. That's everything you need to know about pricing your HR services. So let's have a quick recap. Number 1, anchoring. This, you set the stage for your price reveal by having a high reference point. So as I said earlier, TK Maxx are the masters at doing this. They have one price they show you that anchors your brain at a high level. It gets rid of any figure that you were thinking about, and then they show you the actual price. So rather than just seeing £50 on the t-shirt cold and just £50, and then you say, oh my God, that seems expensive. First, you've been shown £400. You're not paying £400, you're paying £50. All of a sudden, £50 seems much more reasonable, even though you are paying 50 English pounds for a t-shirt, which is madness. Obviously, this is a made-up experience. But you can do the exact same thing with your HR services. You can do this whether it's written down, you can, show a crossed out figure, or you can do it when you're on a sales call of some form or another where you can say, don't worry, this isn't going to cost 20 grand. The investment required to work with me is just 2,000 English pounds, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. The next thing that we talked about with regards to pricing was to lay out everything they're getting. So rather than just saying it's a grievance, here's the price, you're going to share everything that gets involved with that grievance. So include the time, the access, templates, resources, follow-up support, etc., etc. The more they see, the more justifiable your fee becomes. It's not just a conversation, it's your thinking, prep, support, etc., etc. You can even include a value on this so that they can see a full value of each individual item. Then you can say, here's the total value, but you're actually going to be paying XYZ. It's kind of like when you're doing TV shopping, right? TV shopping, they love to do that, TV shopping channels. Next, I went on a little bit of a rant and said get paid up front, or at least get 50% up front. And that can then therefore lead into offering a bit of a discount if they pay up front. That means that you get paid in advance. You frame it as a win. If you're happy to sort payment in one go, I'll take X amount off. This rewards commitment and secures cash flow for you. Ideally, you take at least a deposit, because if you don't, you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. Finally, when it comes to working out what to actually charge for your services, we talked about the fact that you can work out what you want to be paid per hour. We can talk about what you want to be charged per day. Once you've got that figure, that's what you then quote for certain projects, whatever it is. Finally, we talked about pricing versus value, and I promised to do a podcast episode on that in the coming weeks. Finally, let me go back right to the start when I talked about the fact that when you're talking about what to charge for your HR services, what you're actually doing is, you're talking about the fact that you don't have as many leads as you would want for your business. You don't have as many leads, you don't have as many clients. You are coming from a place of neediness. You are worried about losing the project. And that's because you don't have enough leads, you don't have enough clients, you don't have enough sales, you don't have enough profits. And if that's the case, then let me give you a sneak peek to my new offer, which is coming out. My new offer is called the Pipeline Playbook 2.0. This is high level. This is a service to get you 5 leads a week, guaranteed, or your money back. Why am I saying it's going to get you guaranteed or your money back? Simple. Because if you work with me, if you invest with me, and I don't give you the return on investment that you were expecting, then what the hell was the point of it? Why should you take on all the risk? Why should it be you who has to say, right, I'll make the investment to work with you, Nick, but, I might not get any return. I might not get the expected result. Well, let's change that. Let's say I'm going to give you the result that you're expecting. And you can believe that I'm going to do that, because the HR consulting world is a very small pond. So if I say that I'm going to do that and then I don't, you're going to post on LinkedIn, you're going to ruin me. And I'm not going to do that. Equally, if you knew me but well, you would know that I'm not going to do that. But I'm not going to do it for the simple fact that there's leverage there. As I say, you ruin my reputation. There's going to be more that I'm going to share about exactly what to expect in this upcoming offer. But if you're part of my mailing list, you will find out about this in due course. And if you're on social media or on the podcast, you'll find out, a day or two later. This is first come, first serve. Only 10 spots are available. And as I say, the mailing list are going to get first option. So if you're not on my mailing list yet, make sure to go to my website and register. And then you can get first review. Overall, that's the end of the episode. That's everything you need to know about pricing. As ever, let me bring this to an end. As ever, get marketing. Because without marketing, there's no sales. And without sales, there's no business. So get marketing. Hey there, and thanks for listening to the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, then please consider taking a minute to help us grow by sharing the episode with a friend or colleague, or by leaving a positive review on podchaser.com. And make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes if you haven't done so already. I've been your host, Nick Peninsky, and if you've got any questions or you want to know more about today's topic, then feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be delighted to hear from you. See you next time.